20 years ago, there was a very interesting shift in the global automotive market. All of a sudden, big V8s were out and fuel economy was in. And to that effect, the Japanese manufacturers started coming out with hybrid powertrains. The first to the market, as you may know, was the Honda Insight, one of which I own. Trailing by 3 months was the Toyota Prius, seen here in its second generation, and seen here with its owner, ELLIOTT ALVIS, of the YouTube channel ELLIOTT ALVIS.
I use my real name.
That's brave. Yeah. Today we're doing a joint video. We're gonna check out each other's hybrids and see how they compare. His being a slightly more refined later model of the hybrid powertrain, and mine being a very rough around the edges first generation. We're just going to hop in each other's vehicles, see his impressions on my car over on his channel, link down below, and give him a subscribe if you haven't. And I'm gonna check out the Prius.
You're gonna love it.
I might. All right, so what am I looking at here?
We are looking at a fine automobile. This is a 2008 Toyota Prius, which is the second generation Toyota Prius. This body style debuted in 2004. And so by this time, people were pretty used to the shape and design of the car. What's fascinating is there's actually a first gen Prius that was based off the Toyota Echo, and nobody ever sees them. Nobody really knows what most people that aren't enthusiasts don't know what they look like. To everyone else, this is what a first Prius looks like. This was just the best-selling Prius. If you haven't seen one before, I would be dumbfounded. This has got to be one of the most common cars on the road. Very roomy. It's unbroken across the driver's and passenger's footwell. There's a little hump. But the other thing that's interesting about the Prius is really the main thing is the inside. What Toyota tried to do here was reinvent the wheel. Toyota was like, let's change the way people think about cars. And it doesn't have a traditional gauge cluster. And in fact, with them off, when you're looking in there, it looks like it doesn't really have one at all. It just kind of has this sunken down dash area. And they really want your attention on that center screen. And no matter which trim level of Prius you always got a center screen. Radio, climate control setting, all that is way in the distance compared to what they want you to focus on is what that hybrid system is doing. And it's really cool. I think it's what makes the car really cool. It's very fun to watch, kind of distracting almost. If you switch to another screen to check your climate, to look at the radio station, it times out and goes back to the hybrid system no matter what you do. It always goes back to it. You cannot get it to stay on some other screen. This thing is actually really spacious. I'm not a tall guy by any means, but I mean, I'm 5'11", 6 feet on a good day. And I don't have to do any funny dance. And I've got plenty of headroom back here, despite the fact that the roof kind of starts sloping back right here. I mean, I have the seat position where I drive it, and I've got, I mean, a good foot of room.
I am significantly shorter, and I'm absolutely swallowed up by the back here. I mean, there's... I could barely touch that front if I tried. I like the cloth interior a lot.
That's something you don't hear every day.
I'm very anti-leather.
I think that the outside is deceptive for how much room there is in the back seat. I don't think this would be an uncomfortable car to be in the back seat for a long period of time in.
Yeah, the difference in philosophies between this and the Insight is definitely this was more aiming to be a family car, whereas the Insight is very much just sort of a commuter or a town car, something that you would just take to your job and back, just you, and maybe you have something like a minivan or something.
Right, the Insight is a car for one. I mean, I bought the car for $4,500, all said and done, and this was a one-owner old lady special. I had kind of looked at Priuses for a while, but what it really got me on this one was how clean it was for its age, and it's really high mileage. I mean, this is by far the highest mileage car I've ever owned. It's got 203,000 miles on it, which is just like crazy. But I didn't hesitate in buying it because it had just been one lady who'd owned it in the Wichita area its entire life, and it came with, I mean, you know, a pretty thick service record thing. I mean, not because it had a lot of work done, but because she took it to the local Toyota dealership for everything. And the condition of the paint, I would guess it was kept inside too. Typically, if you see a Prius, they have the center, the whole wheel is an alloy wheel, except for this outer part here. That is a hubcap. And I don't know what you have to do to make them, to get them off, but for some reason, a lot of Priuses are missing one or all of those outer hubcaps from this generation. The next generation, they switched to just a full hubcap over it. It still has an alloy wheel underneath, but these wheel covers help increase gas mileage by some minuscule, almost unmeasurable amount. I don't even know if it's appreciable, but I think mine's pretty cool that it has all 4 of its wheel covers still. It is a 4-cylinder motor. I believe the motor itself puts out something like 80 or 90 horsepower, and altogether this thing is 110 horsepower so actually the gas motor puts out less than 80 or 90.
Absolute beast compared to the, what, 70 total of the Insight?
Yeah, fun service thing. This is the easiest air cleaner to change in the world. Are you ready for this? Completely toolless. But look at that. Look at that access. Look how clean that bad boy is.
Small. That's adorable.
This is the actual inverter. It's got its own pump for coolant down there, which we replaced on my channel for one of my buddies, everybody's buddy, Josh. We replaced his cool inverter pump. It's the only mod I've done to the car. I put a stubby antenna on.
Ah, yes.
And it's actually called the Stubby. Once I saw that it said the Stubby on it, I had to buy it.
Yeah, so. Everyone needs a Stubby.
Yeah, and so my Stubby is roof mounted.
They're great gifts. Go ahead, get your wife a Stubby.
Yep, get your wife a Stubby, and make sure she can see it.
Yeah, you got to make sure they can see the Stubby.
Jake hates these lights. If you haven't, you're new to
no, these lights are hot trash. These lights are so ugly.
Jake does not like these. However, I think they look okay on silver.
Yeah, on silver, they're all right. Yeah. But I just chrome tail lights, man.
But this was the style. This was the early 2000s, and there was no hotter aftermarket thing to do to your Honda or whatever. People were switching to clear taillights left and right aftermarket, and Toyota put it on the car from the factory. But not only that, they put it on their most economical car. They were like, boom, here's some clear taillights.
Well, if you're gonna stunt, I mean, come on now. Just like the Insight, of course, the Prius is a hatchback with this profile that's known as a camback, known for increasing fuel efficiency, sort of a gently sloping rear end with a sharp cutoff. It's good for aero for reasons that escape me since I didn't study aero in college. Decently sized back here. One of my favorite details, though, is this this rub strip here, which says Prius in the negative space between all of these little hybrid synergy logos, which is absolutely adorable. That reminds me of on Jeep Wranglers and stuff, how they'd put the grill in random spots on like the glass and whatnot. So this is a really practical car. It's got 4 doors. It's much, much larger than the Insight, and a decent amount more powerful. So let's go see how that translates into on-road manners.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're in the Prius, and it's definitely an alien looking dashboard here. Kind of reminds me of old Saturns. First thing that you got to do, of course, is push the power button, which has a computer style circle and line power symbol on it. That's a pretty amusing little detail. And you push that and nothing happens.
Yep.
No engine noise, no nothing. Looks like the fans are starting to whir to life, which is much appreciated. These are actually new. I've never seen steering wheel buttons for defrost and recirc. Yeah. That's kind of cool. You've got this fun little shifter here that always returns to center. That's, what is B? What did I just do?
B is Toyota's like hill descent mode. Because this doesn't have gears, it just puts it in its like highest resistance setting. If you're gonna be going downhill for a long period of time, it doesn't want you to ride the brakes. Oh, and that's like turning over drive off.
It's brake mode.
Yeah, tons of compartments.
Yeah, I got cup holders and actual
there's
center
a hidden
console.
one under here too. It's like pretty
something.
Another one there.
Yeah, and then 2 glove boxes.
Out.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the microfiber in here because I keep this thing clean.
Of course. And the speedometer itself is way up there, as well as odometer, fuel.
And then check engine lights would go across this way.
Despite having driven quite a few cars before, I've actually never driven a Prius, so this will be a first to me. The closest thing I've done is when I worked at a dealership. It was a Chevy dealership, but someone brought in a Prius, and it took 6 of us to figure out how to put it in park, which is that button. It's the button. It's not any combination of wiggling this. You got to push a button. So let's wiggle this strange little knob and get out on the road. I guess
it's a gentleman's shifter. All you have to do is just get a pincing motion.
You can just pinkies out right into drive, and I felt absolutely nothing change. But presumably if I let off the gas, away we go.
Yep, and right now we're battery only power. and that's indicated by yellow arrows.
Ah, okay.
So
I'm gonna play a real fun game here. I'm gonna get out on the main road and I'm gonna try not to engage the gas motor.
good luck with that.
We're basically gonna just...
And it's already kicked on.
It has?
Yeah.
Oh, it has.
So we'll do it at the next stoplight.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's get going then. CVTs, man. I have looked up how this works, and essentially the electric motors are an integral part of the transmission, and...
Yeah, you just felt it cut off.
Yeah. Boy, that is jarring. Definitely look up the way the hybrid synergy drive works. It's very... Look up how all hybrid systems work. It's amazing how many different ways manufacturers have come up with. Personally, my favorite is plug-in hybrids, where you've essentially just got an electric car with a range extender. To me, that's just the ultimate type. The Chevy Volt is a good example of one of those. Yeah, this just feels like a nice, normal car to drive. It's a perfectly pleasant driving experience. You've got a lot of body roll.
Yeah.
That is a wallowy...
That's that big body little wheel thing I was talking about.
The seats are pretty comfy. That AC is absolutely killer.
It's like
a
ice
little
cold.
more of that. Really, I love where the speedometer is. It is right there in your peripheral vision. And since it's digital, you can always tell what speed you're going. What's interesting is that there's nothing economy related right there in your field of view. The Insight is constantly waging a psychological warfare on you. You've got your speed, and constantly moving beneath it is your fuel economy. And that keeps you accountable unlike anything I've ever experienced before. I typically, especially in a manual car, I'm gonna drive kind of aggressive. In my Insight, I am the guy doing 2 under in the right lane because that's what makes the numbers the biggest. And my dumb 8 brain likes that.
Your arrows, and right now we're recharging. And right down there is your only immediate miles per gallon readout. So as you can see, it's 0 now and the engine's off. This looks like it should display something. Nothing. They really wanted you to pay attention to the center screen on this. So much so that that's why there's no vehicle information. There is no temperature readout. There is only speed and fuel.
So we're gonna get on an on-ramp here, see what this has for acceleration. Since it's a CVT, the sensation of accelerating is gonna be completely different from my Insight, which has all sorts of a weird power curve as the electric motors kick in and out.
Here you go, just drop the hammer.
Go. Yeah, I mean, it's like driving a golf cart.
Yeah, but we're already up to highway speed.
Yeah. Now I'm regenning. I'm just off all of the gas and everything.
Yep.
So now I'm just gonna start like barely feathering the throttle.
Right, what it's showing you is that the gas motor is powering the front wheels and recharging the battery.
Yep, and now I'm gonna boot it.
Yep, and now power's going from the battery and both are powering the front wheels.
Yeah.
And now you're regenning, and it's just fun to watch.
We're about to absolutely send it into this off-ramp, by the way.
Okay.
So let's see, what's the handling really like? Better than expected, actually. That's quite good. The tires are having none of this.
The tires are begging for it right now. Oh my gosh. This is harder than I've ever chucked it into a corner before, by the way.
I'm surprised at how well it handled that.
That was fun, even from a passenger standpoint.
I am impressed. I expected it to push a lot sooner than it did.
And I know that anybody watching has the same experience. You get behind a Prius on an on-ramp or at a stoplight and you just go, oh no.
Well, that's because they're doing this, going, all right, I gotta maximize my fuel economy.
Right. But it was my interpretation that since before I'd ever driven one, that I was like, I just don't think they can do it. I just don't. I think that Priuses just can't do it.
Anyone who blames the car for being too slow or thinks that this is an exorbitantly slow car needs to drive more stuff from the 70s. This is fine. We are so spoiled these days. This is more than adequate, which is kind of what I like. It is built to a very specific purpose, and it dedicates itself so wholeheartedly to that, and just like the Insight does. It gives you a bit of a joy to experience it. It's not about going fast, it's not about handling well, but what it is about it does very well. And that feeling of something engineered for a specific task, carrying that task out, it's a different kind of enthusiasm. That's why among our friend group, almost all of us have some form of hybrid.
Yep.
Watch Jericho has his Volt. You've got a Prius.
Kyle has a Prius. Kyle has a Lexus CT and a Prius.
Yeah, gotta double down. Tyler's got a Prius to go with his ZL11LE.
We got other friends that are just like are considering hybrid ownership. It's once this turns green, Jake's gonna give it a try to stay in electric only.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah, nothing is in the next lane, so
I'll have to race this Jag XF. Oh, he beat me.
okay, so far so good.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah!
It already kicked on. Darn. It's just the first look at all the pallets on that. That was a Geo Prism, I think, carrying like 20 pallets.
That's impressive.
That was incredible.
As we pull back in here, I don't hate this car. It is very good at what it does, but it is not my favorite hybrid. I still remain iffy on these traditional hybrid assist powertrains. Okay, so reverse.
Yep. And now you get... See, isn't that fun?
That's bad. Toyota, why did you do that?
Okay, in all fairness, because I know the comments are going to say it, yes, it can be disabled. But
oh, you've got a backup
yeah,
camera.
Isn't that fancy?
Oh, that is very fancy.
What that's doing is it has this, for lack of a better term, thermos that it pumps warm coolant back into when you cut the car off. Because when you turn it back on, for some reason it's better for efficiency, but it also helps heat the cabin more quicker and yada yada. It's some efficiency BS that Toyota built in, and my pump just makes a lot of noise. So actually it's absolutely screams in the wintertime, but right now it just kind of makes pump sound.
There we have the second generation 2008 Toyota Prius. Definitely a far more refined experience than that of my Insight, but I do like the quirkiness of my little lightweight Honda, but I can definitely see the appeal of the more mainstream Prius. And I can see how this hit it off so hard with so many people and just killed the hybrid game. Not for me, maybe not. I can't quite see myself needing 4 doors on a hybrid and Supreme. But I had a lot of fun learning the ins and outs of this pretty common little economy hatchback. Thanks to Elliott for letting me have a go in his car. Check out his channel in the description below. Give him a subscribe if you haven't already. He's got a video of his impressions of my Insight. Go check that out. It'll also be linked down below. Maybe I should be giving you a thumbs down. It'll be linked right down there.
Anyway, this was fun.
Yeah, it was. We definitely need to do more stuff together, maybe with some slightly more traditional enthusiast cars next time. But until then, leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment.
It's okay. It pumps stuff around while it's off.
At any rate, thanks for watching.